And we're back here. I'm going to start by just making sure my book doesn't close out. And then we're going to show you my notes. So these are the things that I was thinking from his early life, when he was really young. He was born a slave in 1818 in Maryland. He lived with his grandparents on a slave plantation. And began working in fields when he turned 6. Only met mother 4 to 5 times, never knew dad. Remember, just taking notes on this, so I don't need to write full sentences. You can if you want to, but you don't need to. While I was doing those notes, there was a lot of dates and things. So there was a lot of dates and just some really important details. I was going back into the book often. I'd look here, go back into the book again, making sure I was getting things correct and right. So when you later on, when you're doing this yourself for your own book, make sure that you are going back into the book to really try to use those key details, and making sure you're accurate. So going back into the book. The next section, youth and adulthood. So like being a kid to an adult. When he was about 8, he was sent to Baltimore, Maryland, to work for a new family and learn to read there. As he grew, he taught other slaves to read. He tried escaping many times and eventually did to New York on September 3rd, 1838, was married to Anna Murray. So I have a lot of details, even more than some of our last ones. Just was a lot written about him, especially in his youth, compared to some of the other books that we've read. So for each of these sections on this whole sheet, I should point out too, if you get 2 for each one, that'd be a really good goal. Need 1 for sure, 1 for every single section. But if you got 2 though, that would be a really good goal for you. So I definitely have quite a bit, so you can always do more than 2. The next section we're going to be kind of thinking about are what are his big challenge, good things, and really that last section, how did he change the world? And also just kind of really thinking about what am I learning about history during this time? So just thinking about those things now.
Runaway. Douglas.
Okay. Douglas and Anna moved to New Bedford, Massachusetts, USA. There, Douglas met people who wanted to abolish slavery. And abolish means to officially stop something, such as a law. So people there in that really were working hard. They wanted to make sure they were going to abolish it and stop slavery for good. This is an artist's view of New Bedford, Massachusetts, around the time Douglas was there. In 1814, he spoke at one of their meetings. Douglas told the crowd about his life as a slave. The people liked his speech. Douglas soon began traveling to many states giving speeches on slavery. He also wrote a book about his life as a slave. This book, in which Douglas wrote about his life, sold many copies. In his words, I longed to have a future with hope in it. Douglas had escaped, but he was still a slave. Soon he became well known for his speeches in his book. That put him in danger. Now it was easier for his master to find him. Douglas had to get away, but ended up leaving his family behind. Many people wanted to hear Douglas speak. He talked about the abolition of slavery, which is the act of ending slavery. He sailed to England. He gave speeches there and made many friends. There is money to buy his freedom. At last, Douglas was free. An illustration of a steamship similar to the one on which Douglas traveled to England. These are just some really cool facts, interesting things about Frederick Douglass. Remember, if you ever want to come back and read this book on Epic, please do. A fight to end slavery. In 1847, Douglas returned to the United States. He moved his family to Rochester, New York. There he started a newspaper called the North Star. He wrote articles against slavery for the paper. When slaves tried to escape, they looked up to the sky and followed the North Star. This is how the paper got its name. People in the United States did not agree about slavery. That led to the start of the Civil War in 1861. Douglas organized a group of African Americans to fight in that war. 2 of Douglas's sons were among the first African Americans to sign up to fight in the Civil War: Charles Douglas, and Lewis Douglas. Words to know: Civil War, a war between different groups of people from the same country. New beginnings. The Civil War led to the end of slavery, but black people were not treated the same as white people. Douglas gave speeches about treating all people the same. In 1882, Anna got sick and died. Douglas was sad and lonely. About 2 years later, he married Helen Pitts. That upset many people because Helen was white. In his own words, would you unite with anybody to do right and with nobody to do wrong? That's fact. Douglas also gave speeches about allowing women to vote. He actually became really good friends with Susan B. Anthony. If you remember from last week, we read about her. Yeah, they actually were very, very good friends. This is Douglas with Helen Pitts. Douglas never stopped speaking out to others. On February 20th, 1895, he gave a speech to a women's group. He died at home later that day. He was 77 years old, so he never stopped working, and he just died from just old age. Douglas was a powerful voice for those who believe that all people should be treated equally. Today, his words still inspire others all over the world. Picture of Douglas at work in the library at Cedar Hill, his home in Washington, D.C., and a statue of Douglas in the United States Capitol building in Washington, D.C. In his own words, abolition of slavery has been the deepest desire and the great labor of my life. And just a few things here on this last page. Along these pages, you can see a timeline going of really big, important things. So even me, when I'm thinking about doing my graphic organizer again, I'm probably going to be kind of checking and thinking, okay, am I including those? Because usually if you have things on a timeline, those are usually the most important things of a person's life. But I'm going to stop there. I want you to think about what are his big problems now. Good things, how did he change the world, and what am I learning about history during this time? Okay, we'll come back and check it out.